St. Paul, the Fan.
Super exciting. Installment number 2 of the 2 for Tuesday, and we head to defense with this one. Nordo started the 2 for Tuesday talking about somebody with whom 740 the Fan and Fargo would be very familiar. A wide receiver, Bryce Lance. It triggered a talkback.
Hey guys, Eric from Bismarck. I'm down here at 710 KFAN. Been able to watch Bryce Lance the last few years at NDSU. Paid a lot of attention to his game. And as far as running routes, I don't think that's going to be a problem for this kid. He ran a variety of different routes at NDSU, and he made people look ridiculously silly. So I don't think that him playing at a smaller university is going to affect how good he is in the pros.
What that? Okay.
710 the Fan.
Thank you, Bismarck.
Thank you, Bismarck, and
thank you, Mandan.
So I think we've identified our winning talkback for the day. The one who didn't call you Gordo, and the one who supported your twofer.
There's more time for those to enter the mix. That was a very good one. Thanks to Eric. I believe it is time for.
It's a 2 for Tuesday, 9 to noon.
Ain't no doubt. We have the Monday mock, the 2 for Tuesday, Wild Card Wednesday tomorrow, Thirsty Thursday in a couple of days, and Tuesday is Viking-centric and does not involve first-round predictions. Instead, over the next 4 Tuesdays, including today, we will hit on players we think fit rounds 2 and beyond for the Minnesota Vikings. Bryce Lance, speedy wide receiver, NDSU was the first one. Now we head to defense, and it's this guy.
Inside give, Derek Davis, stopped by Corleone.
Hey.
No gain on the play, it's 4th down.
Hey.
TFL. Let's go.
That's Corleone, 4-year Bearcat. He's a defensive tackle. Name is Dante Corleone. 4-year Bearcat, leaving the Covenant didn't matter to him. He's a loyal cat raised by high-end defensive coaches.
3rd down and 5. Brown to throw. Brown steps up. Brown takes off. He gets wrapped up by Dante Corleone for a loss. Another Corleone sack, and it's 4th down. And it's
Dante Corleone, 340 pounds, 6'1", and he's a ton of fun, and he dresses to a T. Got more clothes than Muhammad Ali, and he would fit nicely with the 6'1", 340. Kind of reminds me of defensive tackle immortality, who was 6'1", 335. Cat named Casey Hampton, the great Casey Hampton, who had some fire hydrant to him. So does this guy.
Marchiol, who's set to throw, and there's he is sacked. Dante Corleone was there first.
About that 10-yard shuttle speed. Watch the lateral movement of the big man. You know, you don't get a lot of guys that can move like that, and you don't have as many of those traditional zero-type nose guys like a Vita Vea.
I mean, is his nickname Gordo? Holy cow! With the big man drops there.
Gordo, fat.
Now, my guy Dante Corleone. Well, he has some medical red flags that may have scared teams away from drafting him.
Above average at that.
2024, Dante Corleone, Cincinnati Bearcats defensive tackle. Chest pains and trouble breathing, which is pretty much about 3 times a day for Nordo and I. But our situation hopefully doesn't go the way this one did. With Dante Corleone, 2024, he had chest pains and trouble breathing. At first, they may have been like, big people get tired fast. But after a deeper dive into his body, it was learned Corleone had blood clots in his lungs, which put his career, and at that time his life, in jeopardy. After treatment, he returned, and he was back to changing games. Then, in 2025, Corleone messed up his ankle very early in the season, first or second game of the season. That was last year, and he missed games. He's 340 pounds. That's a lot of beef to carry on those ankles. The lungs are fine. We'll worry about the ankles later. But he returned after the bad ankle and changed games again. Now, however, FIDA, Fairness and Dante Corleone Act, for the first time in his career, he had 0 sacks and by far the fewest tackles of his career. But that's fine. The Vikings sniffed out Jalen Redmond from the Panthers practice squad after a bout with blood clots in his leg. They believed in him, and he was the best defensive lineman the team had last year. Maybe the same will take place with Cinci's Dante Corleone. My selection for the deeper draft 2 for Tuesday. Go ahead and worry about the lungs. Go ahead and worry about the lungs that have been fixed as he breathes life into the run-stopping defense for the Minnesota Vikings. And we get a guy on Saturday of the draft, who a year ago experts deemed as a second and worst case scenario, 3rd round selection. I believe in Dante from the Corleone family and his ability to go gangster on opposing offensive lines. There it is.
Dante Corleone.
Reminds me of Casey Hampton. Started with Vince Wilfork. Now, Casey Hampton got taken in the 1st round. So did Vince Wilfork. Dante Corleone drew Hampton/Wilfork comparisons back in like 2023. Now, the loyalty part of the equation in this day and age of college sports, okay, it matters to me. It might matter to you. What do we know? What do we matter? Not that much when it comes to drafting players. You want to help your team for many years.
Yeah.
And I can tell you right now, I've met a lot of people, specifically this year at the Combine, on and off the microphone, where that loyalty factor really matters to them. I mean, I don't know, maybe they're trying to spend more time with the kids and they don't want to have to like find a video from Northwest Missouri State and then all of a sudden NDSU and then all of a sudden Cincinnati.
I always love that one.
But players who come to a school and stay there for 3 or 4 years resonates with personnel people around the National Football League. The hope is here with this lung information and the blood clots. Well, the hope is that he didn't attempt to enter the portal and nobody wanted him.
I always love that one.
We choose to look at it like Dante Corleone is a loyal member of the Corleone family. And we have Jalen Redmond.
Yeah.
Now, Jordan Reid, I think, is going to tell us because he mentioned this to me at the Combine. Like, I went down the road. I'm going to go down the road again with him with 18th overall pick, kind of feeling defensive tackle a little bit. And his take fits Corleone later in the draft with some flyer to it because of the medical stuff and the red dots on draft boards where some teams will not draft Dante Corleone because of the blood clots in the lung, which have been remedied. But then he got hurt again. And that's a lot of weight to be carrying on 2 ankles. So heard a lot of the same things with Jalen Redmond before he arrived with the Minnesota Vikings. People were concerned. Everything has worked out well for the Vikings with Redmond and Redmond with the Vikings. I think the same would be with Dante Corleone, joining the likes of Jalen Redmond, Levi Drake Rodriguez, Tyrion Ingram Dawkins, who also is quite good against the run and he's getting better. So with Corleone, this is not your Aaron Donald, Gerald McCoy 3 technique. This is not London Fletcher Cox early in his career from a 3 technique standpoint.
Where you needed 4 hands on him?
Ain't nobody going to put 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 sacks on the resume of Dante Corleone. And I don't even believe he's a 3-down player.
But look at his consistency through his first 3 seasons. So when you brought up his name and I'm trying to find his highlights and that sort of thing, I just look and it's like, hold on a second. 5.5 TFL, 6.5 TFL, 5 TFL, 3 sacks, 3.5, and then a big fat goose egg across the board in 2020. I had no idea about the health thing. So the combination of the clots and the ankle, if he gets healthy, looks good. Could look good in purple.
Redmond is good and getting better against the run, but he sacks the quarterback. Levi Drake Rodriguez, who continues to grow into his body, still very young, as National Football League players would go. I think Levi Drake Rodriguez would be identified as a defensive tackle or an end in a 3-4 hybrid with floaters who can rush the quarterback. Tyrion Ingram Dawkins had more twitch and wiggle to him near the end of the season than he did when he debuted. But out of Georgia, he was tabbed as a run-stopping defensive lineman. Well, let's fortify that with Dante Corleone. Let's believe in him and recognize that you're going to get him in a spot that previously people didn't think he would fall to like a Saturday draft pick. I still think it might be a Friday because he's so twitchy for his size. He's really, really good against the run, and he's the kind of guy that eventually commands attention from centers and guards, and that leaves things open for Jalen Redmond or edge rushers on the floor as blitz when he spreads 7 across the line of scrimmage. I like him. I believe in him, and I'm quite positive he can work through these medical red flags that seem to be surrounding him as the draft quickly approaches. About 3.5 weeks away, 3 weeks from Thursday. That's your 2 for Tuesday. We got some wild card ideas for you tomorrow. Then Thursday, players for whom we thirst at 18 for the Minnesota Vikings, and we have a bevy of those. Talkback's free iHeartRadio app if you're so inclined. We have a prize to give away at the end of the radio show. When we return, Jordan Reid, elite draft analyst with ESPN. Shoot, he was on the Pat McAfee show yesterday. JReid joins us next to talk draft on KFAN. Alrighty, welcome back to 9 to Noon. Jordan Reid is an accurate and informed NFL draft opinion in the ESPN family. Follow our friend at Jordan_Reid via X. He's one of our favorites, and he's super busy, so let's jump into the mix. Jordan, I'm vibing perhaps defensive tackle for the Minnesota Vikings at 18. If that's the case, who fits Flores' approach and is not a reach? And good morning, my man.
Good morning, PA. As always, great being here with you. One day closer to the draft, so really excited to see what the Vikings do. At 18, it's just so interesting, man, just because this defensive tackle group, there really isn't that guy that you would love to pick at number 18 overall. Peter Woods at Clemson was seen as that guy coming into the year, but his evaluation is kind of all over the place. He's a bit of a polarizing prospect. Caleb Banks from Florida is another name that was in the mix with that prior to the foot surgery that he had a couple of weeks ago. So at 18, I think it would be a little bit of a reach to take even one of those players. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see what they opt to do at defensive tackle, just because you can make an argument that that's where the biggest hole on the roster is currently.
Interesting. So with Jalen Redmond in the mix, Javon Hargrave goes to Green Bay, Jonathan Allen goes to Cincinnati. I'm feeling that you like the draft from a defensive tackle standpoint, just maybe not this high. Is that fair?
Yes, that's correct. I think they could look to address it somewhere on day 2, just because there is some depth along this defensive tackle class. But 18 is just a little bit too early for my liking.
Okay. Well, we're going to get to another one here momentarily. Now, should the Minnesota Vikings or would you consider trading many an asset, all right, first round, to get up and grab running back Jeremiah Love and bring that speed to the party with Kyler Jefferson and Addison speed?
It's fun to think about hypothetically. I just think there's just so many holes on the roster right now. I mean, you have a huge need at center, defensive tackle, I think safety. You can even argue corner as well. They have so many holes on the roster right now. I just don't think they can afford to make a move like that. But I mean, I think Jeremiah Love is the best player in the draft. And if he's there at 18, you don't waste any time turning in the card. I just don't think they need to trade up for him and just expense all those assets right now, just because they have so many holes on the roster right now.
So with the Notre Dame running back, I mean, do you feel he can get all the way up to top 5? Because like we did a Monday mock yesterday, and I don't put nearly as much time into it as somebody learned like you. But I mean, I'm looking at Tennessee, and I'm looking at Arizona, and I know Arizona has needs and stuff like that. But I'm like, Love fits with all of these teams, even in the top 5. Is there potential for that?
Yeah, I mean, I think his run really starts with the Tennessee Titans at 4. I think they could be in the market to take him just because they need somebody to help Cam Ward. They don't have anybody in that backfield that's as dynamic as Jeremiah Love. And Tony Pollard and Tyjair Spears are good running backs, but good should never keep you away from great. We saw that way back when the Vikings drafted Adrian Peterson, when they had Chester Taylor coming off of a really good season. So good should never keep you from drafting a great player. And I mean, even the Giants at 5, they could take him. The Commanders at 7 could take him. So I definitely think he goes somewhere inside that top 10.
Yeah. So if you want Jeremiah Love from 17, man, I mean, you're just giving up everything. That's a great point. Jordan Reid, ESPN, 9 to noon. Will you be in Pittsburgh for the draft?
Yes, I would be there all 3 days, going through the marathon of the best event in sports. So I'm really excited to head off to Pittsburgh in a couple of weeks.
So what? So what do you do? I mean, all the hay's in the barn. I mean, the film's studied, the opinions are formulated, the sneaky background chats have been had, and here you are in Pittsburgh. What do you do? Just like you're ready for shows?
Yeah, there's a ton of shows, a lot of radio, a lot of TV appearances. We have our NFL Draft Daily show that's happening every day, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. That we're preparing for every single day. So that's been fun to really do so far. And you may call me crazy, but I've already started on. I have our way too early mock draft for next year's.
Come on.
So I've already started watching some of those guys. Man. And that comes out the very first week of May. So I'm already preparing for that.
Well, I mean, you and your cohort, Matt Miller, I mean, you guys are insane with this. Seriously, you're already looking forward to 2027. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I have our way too early mock draft that comes out the week after the draft concludes. So I have to get an early look on some of those guys.
All right, well, if the NFL draft lands in Minneapolis in 2028, I mean, yeah, you have to come to town for that, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll be there. I want to come into the studio and actually have a studio show together. Finally.
That would be the bomb. Stupid question, and I'm quite sure the answer is going to be yes, Paul. I've been there, but have you been to U.S. Bank Stadium?
Yes, I have. I've been twice, actually. Been there. Me and my wife went to Manny's Steakhouse downtown. Hey. We had a ton of fun there as well. So I've been twice. I've been in Minneapolis twice.
Yeah, man. So if we get the draft in 2028, you and your wife will go to Manny's. I'll take you and your wife to a place called Mancini's in St. Paul. Steak and lobster, and it kind of has a gangster lean to it, man. It is Minnesota restaurant immortality. So now, I mean, we got to get the draft here in 2028, if only for Mancini's. All right, you got some run on the Pat McAfee show. You got some run on the super popular Pat McAfee show yesterday. What was that like?
It was great, man. I've known Pat for a few years now, and I've been trying to get on the show for quite a long time. And, I've been bugging him about it. I'm sure you heard him talking about it, but he finally let me on. We're literally right beside our sets are right beside each other at the Combine every year. But, just getting on that show is just a credit to, my grind, my hustle, everything that's happened over the past 8 years doing this full time. And, I mean, we met each other at my very first Combine 6 years ago now. So, just to see the ascension has been really fun, and I'm humbled for everything that's happened. And it was a great show to go on, and a huge audience, of course.
Well, I mean, think about your surrogates, like you surrogate uncle, surrogate brother, however you want to look at it. Me and our friend Gabe Henderson, who's now in Kansas City. Can you imagine how we felt when we saw that yesterday? I mean, I turned on the TV and I see you on Pat McAfee, and I was like, look at my man roll. Holy, we're just so, we're just so proud of you, man. And you put so much time into it. So let's continue with it. Do you like quarterback Ty Simpson over all other quarterbacks?
Not overall. I still have Fernando Mendoza ahead of him, but Ty is the clear number 2 to me. And a lot of people have disagreed as far as where they view him. I think that's what the big discrepancy, the big debate about with him is, do you take him as early as the Jets at number 16 overall, or is he somebody that goes in the back end of the first round or early second round? So I think that's one of the biggest storylines to watch, honestly, with the NFL draft as far as where Ty Simpson goes. There's just not a lot of fits for him as far as teams that have immediate needs at quarterback. I think Arizona is a logical one that a lot of people, including myself, have really attached him to. Obviously, the Jets have a huge need for a young quarterback as well. And those are your first 2 picks in the second round at 33 and 34. Respectively, or do one of them trade up into the back end of the first round to get that 5th-year option, or do the Jets take them at 16? So there's a lot of things that could happen with Ty.
All right, okay, Jordan. Speaking of that way too early 2027 draft, the Jets have 3 first-round picks in next year's draft. Are the quarterbacks better next year than this year? But, because the Jets do have Geno Smith, who's not bad.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest question marks right now, honestly. This class was so hyped up, and the guys didn't live up to the hype. But I think the great thing that I've seen so far about the 2027 class is I think the upside with a lot of guys are higher, and a lot of them are already more established than what some of the others were last year. You were doing a lot of hoping and wishing with some of those quarterbacks in last year's class, and I think the ceiling with these players coming up are higher. You have Arch Manning out of Texas. We don't need to go too far into detail with him. We know the hype that was associated with him.
Right.
And I thought he played really well as the season progressed after a rough start in that Ohio State game, the season opener. Dante Moore of Oregon, who a lot of people thought could potentially declare for this draft that is upcoming, but he goes back for another season, only having 20 starts under his belt. So he'll get to that magical 30-plus number if he stays healthy next season. And then there's some other candidates that could come out that have a lot of potential. I like Darian Mensah out of Miami, who came over from Duke. I think he has a lot of potential. Drew Mestamaker, who comes over at Oklahoma State now. He followed his coach from North Texas. He's another player that I'm really excited about. And then TJ Carr out of Notre Dame. So there's a lot of potential with the quarterback class, and I'm hoping that this class lives up to it.
By the way, everybody, those were all names for 2027. Holy cow. Talk about way too early and down the road on what's going to be good in 2027. Well done. So with Fernando Mendoza, the Indiana quarterback, he'll go first to the Las Vegas Raiders. Is Mendoza a cinch to succeed in the NFL?
I think he's going to be good. Now, the thing that I love the most about Fernando is his resiliency. Just think of all the big moments that he was able to overcome this season. He goes into Oregon early on in the season, wins in a tough environment. The Penn State last drive in the fourth quarter, goes into Iowa and wins. And then the national title game. I mean, he got the snot knocked out of him all game long, and then he scores the game-winning touchdown. He runs the ball in the end zone. So just his resiliency. And, you're going to hear the comparisons, Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins, but the player that he reminds me of just from a play style standing point is Sam Bradford. I think he reminds me so much of Sam when he was coming out of Oklahoma, former number 1 overall pick, former Heisman Trophy winner, a little bit of a different personality that, you have your own thoughts about that, whatever you want to think about that.
Yeah.
I think he'll be completely fine with that as far as walking into a locker room. I don't see any problem with that. But he reminds me so much of Sam just because of the natural throwing ability. He's really accurate. Their measurables are exactly the same at 6'5", 236 pounds. So, and Sam was really good. Like before injuries derailed his career, he was a damn good player, man.
Yeah.
I was a big fan of him when he was coming out of Oklahoma. So I think Fernando has a chance to turn around the Raiders really quickly, but they have to do a good job of getting that infrastructure correct around him.
Hey, Jordan Reid, ESPN. Should the Vikings consider tight end Eli, I believe it's Stowers, Eli Stowers outside round 1? Is it Stowers or Stowers?
Stowers. Yeah. Eli Stowers. He lit up the combine. I don't know if he's going to be there for them on day 2. It wouldn't be surprising if he goes earlier on in the second round. I know they have the 17th pick in the second round at number 49 overall, so it wouldn't be surprising if he goes a little bit higher. But if he is there, I definitely think they have to consider it, especially with T.J. Hockenson entering the final year of his deal. And then they just don't have a lot of consistency behind him as far as from a receiving standpoint. So Stowers, I think, could be a viable option at 49. I just don't know if he's going to be there, PA.
NFC North. And by the way, people can read all of this at ESPN.com. Hit on the draft tab and find Jordan Reid stories. This is where I got this next part from. With the Chicago Bears, I know you like them to consider Penn State edge Danny Dennis Sutton. Why is that, and who is he?
Deny Dennis Sutton.
Deny.
Big base defensive end. Yeah, those names are tricky this year. 6'5", 265 pounds. He didn't quite live up to the hype that a lot of people had for him coming into the year. He was supposed to be that number 1 guy now that Abdul Carter had left to the NFL draft. But the production was decent for him. You just fall in love with the potential that he has. He was a really good tester at the combine as well. So I think he's one of those players that could quickly outplay his draft slot. That's why I think he probably goes in the 3rd round. But I think he's going to go on to be a productive complementary option with them already having Montez Sweat and some other guys there already. He's not going to be forced into action right away. But 2 to 3 years from now, I think he's going to be a serviceable starter.
Hey, man, your announcer after years with Pisa Tino Isamoa, Brandon Manu Maliuna, and Aurorier, I got to be getting denied. So thank you very much for that, Jordan. The Lions. Jordan thinks Detroit should target Northwestern offensive tackle Caleb Tiernan. Why is that?
Well, I mean, they have a huge need at right or left tackle, depending on where they want to put Penei Sewell. And Tiernan, he doesn't have the upside of some people that will go ahead of him, but he's one of those players that I think has a really high floor. He's really physical, and he just matches a lot of traits that I can see Brad Holmes and also Dan Campbell really falling in love with. And they need somebody that can play right away. And like I said, with Penei potentially moving to the left side, Tiernan's only played on the left side, but I think he's better served as a right tackle long term.
Man, what do you, just philosophically speaking, I mean, Penei Sewell's the best right tackle in the NFL. I mean, he's so athletic, man, they fake jet sweeps with him. Is like, philosophically speaking, how risky is it when you take somebody who's the best at what they do in a spot and you move them?
Well, it's very, very, very risky. But the thing that gives you some hope is the athleticism and the athletic profile that he has. Penei was an outstanding athlete when he was coming out, and he did play a little bit of left tackle during his earlier years at Oregon. So It's not completely foreign to him. It's been a long time since he's done it, but you trust a player like that that's that special to eventually get the mechanics of it down. We saw it with Tristan Wirfs going from the right side to the left side. They ended up working out in Tampa Bay's favor, so Detroit is hoping the same happens for them.
That's a fantastic take. Green Bay, Dalen Everett, Georgia corner. Why him there and with new defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon?
It just matches their profile of historically what they have looked for. They look for high-end athletes that have length, and that's what Dalen Everett has. He was an outstanding tester. He comes from that Georgia program who just churns out defensive backs. And I always thought he was very underrated. There was a lot of people that got more notoriety than him, but he was an outstanding guy on special teams. He's going to be able to come in and contribute in that facet while he does develop. And Green Bay has a huge need for a young outside corner. So Everett definitely fits the prototype that they have looked for in years past.
A couple of quickies to close here for JReid, ESPN. Now the Vikings. K-State center Sam Heck outside the first round. O'Connell said here 9 to noon yesterday from the owners' meetings that finding a starter in the draft definitely is part of the options. And I saw you wrote about Blake Brandel, and O'Connell talked extensively about him. I know you like Sam Heck quite a bit. Why?
It's just the athleticism that he has, and then that zone-based scheme that Minnesota runs. I definitely think he would be a really good fit. And I just think they need a young center behind Blake Brandel, who I think is better served as that utility guy on the interior, just because he has experience at all three spots up front. And, with Ryan Kelly now gone, he's retired. It's been a while since the Vikings have had that reliable center in the middle that can just do everything. And I think Heck, just the competitive fire that he has, the way he sustains blocks as well, the way he can block on the move, too. I just think he's such a great fit in what O'Connell wants to do.
Nordo and I offered some Vikings-related longer shots outside of the first round earlier on a 2 for Tuesday. For me, Cincinnati defensive tackle Dante Corleone. Get him in there with Jalen Redmond, and it's time for the Beef Eaters to feast. Does he fit here?
Yeah, he does. Just because he's that explosive guy that can get up the field really, really quickly. He's had a prolific career during his time at Cincinnati, and he matches the profile of exactly what they want to be and what they want to do on the interior. It's just the thing with Corleone is just going to come down to the medicals with him. He has quite a few medical things that have happened throughout his career. So he's one of those guys that could end up going late or even undrafted. I wouldn't be surprised by that. But if he goes even earlier, I wouldn't be surprised by that either. So he's a bit polarizing just from a medical standpoint, just because of a lot of things that he went throughout his career.
Nordo offered Bryce Lance of NDSU for the Vikings and a day 3 wide receiver. How does that sound and fit?
Love it. I mean, if he's there in the 4th round, I would be a bit surprised. I think he probably ends up going late day 2 just because of the speed that he brings to the table, the production that he had, and just the different type of skill set that the Vikings don't currently have. They don't have that vertical guy that can take the top off the defense. And Jefferson and Addison, of course, are incredible, but they don't have that guy that can get you an 80-yard touchdown that can flip the field really quickly. So I think Lance will be a great fit as their third receiver.
Hey, Jordan, when you say scout the player, not the helmet, what exactly do you mean?
So lot of times if a lot of players at a position from one school have failed, then a lot of people will just assume that that player is going to fail. So, for example, if you're evaluating an Alabama offensive tackle, a lot of those guys have failed in years past, then you immediately are not going to like Caden Proctor. So there's a lot of people that immediately don't like Caden Proctor just because he's an offensive tackle from Alabama. So you have to just treat every player as their own individual evaluation and not just make an assumption about a player just because other players have failed from that same school at that position in years past.
All right. Lastly, let's finish with Jordan Reid smiling. Here we go. LaMelo and Miller have mostly been healthy this year, and Con Knippel should win Rookie of the Year. They handled the Knicks last Thursday. How about your beloved Charlotte Hornets maybe doing some damage in the Eastern Conference playoffs?
Hey, man, the buzz is in the city. The buzz is back. I'm definitely going to go to the playoff game or play-in, whatever it is. I'm definitely going to be there. So it's been a long time since we've had a team to cheer for, really since the Kemba Walker days. And we've been rebuilding for so long. Jeff Peterson, the GM, is doing a heck of a job. Charles Lee is doing an awesome job. They're really a year ahead of schedule. This was considered to be another rebuild year, but Con Knippel has come in, and his development has been expedited exponentially. He's much better than a lot of people thought he was going to be. LaMelo has absolutely bought in to what they're trying to get him to be as far as a leader in the locker room. Brandon Miller has taken another step in his development, too. So we just need that true center or power forward going forward. I like Moussa Diabate. I think he's turned out to be a really good player. He's a steal for them. So they need that true power forward going forward. So hopefully we can get it in years to come. But they're a dangerous team, man. I'm excited to see what they're going to continue to build in Charlotte.
You follow the NBA closely, right?
Yes, I do. Okay. I'm an NBA guy through and through.
Yeah, me too. So let me hit you with something I brought up yesterday. San Antonio Spurs. Okay, Dylan Harper. Dylan Harper's improving. He's good. He's good to very good sometimes. Can you imagine the Spurs might win the NBA championship? They're that good with Wemby. Can you imagine if they drafted either VJ Edgecombe or Con Knippel and not Harper? Are you kidding me with that Spurs team if they had those guys?
Yeah, that would have been incredible. I'm happy that they didn't. As a Hornets fan, I'm happy they didn't take Con Knippel because we're happy to have him.
JReid, Jordan Reid, ESPN, the mothership. Expect to hear from him close to the draft and from Pittsburgh. We unload the talkback machine around the corner and also give away a wonderful, wonderful prize. This is 9 to noon, back after...
I can't wait. I can't wait until
Free iHeartRadio app, Talkback Machine. Your talkbacks on some talkers today. A Talker Tuesday presented by Northern Fire Grilling and Barbecue Supply. Let's rattle through these, and then I got a winner to unveil.
Hey, PA, Nordo. This is Blake from Rosemount. Might have a minority take on this one, but why not take the tight end from Oregon? All-around athlete. He can learn from TJ, give Kyler Murray another option. Kevin O'Connell can scheme him wide open every time. Let's go, Vikes.
Well, thanks for the talk back, Blake, but I'm going to tell you, it's not a minority opinion.
Good morning, PA Nordo. Thomas from Chanhassen here. Want to get your thoughts on if at pick 18, Kenyon Sadiq, tight end from Oregon, is there. Would you select him? Obviously, we got Hawk and Oliver, so not our main position of need, but adding a game-wrecking, super speedy tight end to the offense can never hurt. What do you think?
I'm not mad at the theory, and I've said it a bunch of times. Look at what the Chicago Bears did and are doing with Loveland, Cole Kmet,
yeah,
and Durham Smythe, and the way they use their tight ends. We saw it in the playoff game with the Rams in Arizona. The way they use their 2 and 3 tight end sets. And you have Oliver and Hawkinson, and you can win games with them. But this Sadiq is special, and he will end up being one of the he'll be the fastest tight end in the National Football League. Not really sure about his route running, and he did steal the show at the Combine, which can be a little curious sometimes when people elevate players because of what they do in Indy. But I'm not mad at the theory at all. I just don't know if that's the one in that spot.
Like it. Talkback Machine.
Hi, good morning and good day. You know, so like they always say, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Well, like maybe there'll be lemons at, pick 18 there, Like what about Mekhi Lemon? Like he's a wide receiver, eh? And like we need wide receivers, so You know, like if life gives you lemons, you know, I think, you know, like the saying, eh?
No doubt, but
you don't have to fill the whole 30 seconds.
Yeah, with the Canadian hockey loving accent, perhaps when we do talkbacks for Bill Guerin and the upcoming 2026 draft.
Oh, heck yeah!
There's somebody playing in Nanaimo up Vancouver way that you can tout us on.
Absolutely. Mackay Lemon, by the USC wide receiver, I think is where he's coming from. So, and as we talked about earlier, team definitely needs receivers. More talkbacks.
I don't know who we should draft. I just know in the first 2 rounds.
Oh, it just, sorry, that just copped out. Let me try another one here.
Hi, this is Kevin from Staples. I was thinking we could replace Hitman with a guy like Thieneman from Oregon. If not, going after like Casey Concepcion to replace that receiver. And then whichever one we don't get, we kind of try to replace later on down in the draft. And then with the rest of the draft picks, kind of hit the offense and defensive lines.
Davey Concepcion would fit nicely with the Minnesota Twins. Thieneman is so steamy. Yeah. I'm not sure he gets to 18.
Talkbacks.
Yes, this is Chad Schwager from Rosemount. I think the Vikings should draft Iowa wide receiver Caleb Wedgett, like the 3rd round. He'd be a great slot receiver, speedy guy, and he also help in return game with him and Miles Price back there. It'd be a pretty good duo.
Well, with the talkbacks, you know what our talkback machine sounds like. I don't know what kind of a machine from which my man did that talkback, but it's the headache machine. Good take, though.
Good morning, PA. Alex here from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. A long-time listener, first-time talkback guy. I'd like to see us go get the tackle out of Alabama, Proctor. I'd like to shore up that offensive line, especially with our new Kyle Murphy at quarterback. I know he can run. I know he can throw a little bit, but we got to protect him. Skull Nation, go Vikes.
And Kyler Murphy, interestingly, no relation to former Vikings beat writer for the Pioneer Press, Brian Murray. They're not the same person. 9 to noon as confirmed.
I think that was a bit that may have been generated on the show that precedes us.
Hey, PA, it's AP. I'm with you on the Dante the Don Corleone pick. Boy, wrap you up tighter than a calzone. He's on you like a pan of lasagna. Come on, let's bring him home.
Hey, yes. That was awesome.
And finally, our talkback of the day is part of a Talker Tuesday, brought to you by Northern Fire Grilling and Barbecue Supply. They're giving away a spot in their May 30th brisket boot camp. It's Saturday, May 30th, 5 to 7 p.m., $100 value. And you're going to learn all the elite tricks of championship barbecue brisket. And you're going to walk away. There's tasting. You'll get the brisket. You'll get to cook through it, a couple of beverages, and a ton of fun with barbecue. Here's Jeff in Greenfield.
Hey, guys. This is Jeff from Greenfield. As far as the draft goes, let's not try to get cute with it. Take the best player available. Maybe even take some of them picks and move back and get some more. The team needs a few things, so don't get too cute with it. Like I said, best player available. And as far as that Gortho thing, I've got you this. He ain't heavy. He's my producer. Good day, boys.
And on to Wednesday we go. Well done. And covenant claps for Northern Fire and NorthernFireBBQ.com. Thank you for supporting 9 to noon. Thank you for supporting KFAN. And thank you for the awesome prize. Most importantly, thank all of you for listening to 9 to noon today. Tomorrow, we start the show with Finn Cho. Start the show with Finn Cho. Ben Gessling covers the Vikes for the Strib. He's the scribe. And new Gophers hockey coach Brett Larson will join us in studio. Thursday is a Box in the Box day. For Nordo, the producer, I'm Paul Allen. May God bless you and all of your families. And thank you very much for listening to 9 to noon at FM 100.3 KFAN. Here comes the program. It's next.
Gordo. Fat.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.